Good evening. Religious saints and statues are often prayed to by people who believe they intercede to God on their behalf for health, safety, and protection.
But drug and human traffickers are also using them to pray for protection from law enforcement.
News 4 Tucson's Lupita Murillo was granted exclusive access to a day-long conference that brings awareness to officers as they come across some of these icons during their investigations. It's a Crime Trackers report.
Behind me are representatives from local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. Some are undercover, others are analysts, but they're all here to learn about religious saints and how they're being misused by drug and human smugglers.
It's called the patron saints of the Mexican underworld.
Is the name of the 8-hour intensive class where these law enforcement officers can see.
Jesus Monteverde is the original narco saint,
who originated in the 1900s in Culiacan, Sinaloa. He was known as the Mexican version of Robin Hood, who stole from the rich and gave to the poor.
He became the narco saint about 30 years ago.
Around the time when Joaquin Chapo Guzman, also from Sinaloa, was on the rise in the narco underworld. Guzman headed one of the most violent drug trafficking organizations, the Sinaloa Cartel. After escaping twice from Mexican prisons, he was extradited to the United States. Fast forward to his upcoming trial in New York, where one of the questions for potential jurors was if they are familiar with Jesus Malverde. According to the former undercover officer, deputy chief of the El Paso Police Department, and U.S. Marshal for the Western District of Texas.
A lot of these Mexican cartels and gangbangers, they rationalize what they're doing, their criminal activity, by saying they're going to be helping the poor. So they pray to the narco saint, Jesus Malverde.
While Malverde is popular, Santa Muerte has surpassed him. Mexican cartels and gangs are praying to her for protection from law enforcement. ALMONTE's concern is for law enforcement because she's associated with violence.
She represents death.
Evident by some of the cases where shrines and candles with Santa Muerte have been found at crime scenes.
People have been killed and then their bodies or body parts offered up to Santa Muerte as an offering for protection from law enforcement.
Another frightening aspect, people who worship her truly believe Santa Muerte decides whether they are going to hell or heaven. And the way to heaven is worshiping her and leaving her gifts.
So we have these Mexican cartels that are involved in a lot of horrible things, beheading people, torturing people, killing people. They still think they're going to heaven.
That becomes an officer safety issue.
They're not afraid to die.
For one of the undercover officers attending, this class has been extremely beneficial. To protect his identity, we're not showing his face.
It's going to help you, it's going to guide you and make you more cautious, more aware.
Jesus Malverde and Santa Muerte are not recognized by the Catholic Church.
Even the Vatican has released a statement saying something like, if you're praying to Santa Muerte, it's like you're praying to the devil.
But there are legitimate saints. San Ramon is the patron saint of expectant mothers or midwives because his mother didn't survive childbirth. He became a priest. He was sent to prison for converting Muslims to Christianity. While in prison, he continued his mission, and his mouth was padlocked. The drug and human smugglers also pray to him.
What they'll do is they'll even place a coin on his face, on a prayer card or candle. The coin represents covering up his mouth to keep people quiet about their criminal activity.
St. Jude, considered the patron saint of hope in impossible causes. He was one of Jesus' original 12 apostles. Of all the legitimate saints,
St. Jude is the most popular one being used or misused by the Mexican cartels and gangs.
However, St. Jude has also helped law enforcement. One of the officers, who is not Catholic but respects the religion and has taken the class, will often call Almonte.
And say, hey, Robert, Mr. St. Jude led me to 600 pounds of marijuana. Mr. St. Jude led me to $1.3 million in cash. And I'll never forget, he told me basically, Robert, basically what I've done is I turned St. Jude into my informant.
Robert Almonte says this class has helped officers seize thousands of pounds of drugs, and it also helped solve a cold case in Los Angeles. Lupita Murillo, News for Tucson.
And the former U.S. Marshal makes it clear, not everyone that has these saints is a drug or human smuggler, nor is it enough to find probable cause, but often it is a red flag that could lead to an arrest.